For tonight, I want to talk about the detours that God uses in our lives, and this is a good example can be seen in Genesis, where with Joseph, and it says in verse 1 of chapter 37, "And Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him, and could not speak peaceably unto him. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we were binding sheaves in the field, and woe, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright. And behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. And his brethren said to him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. And he dreamed yet another dream, and told his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed a dream more, and behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren, and his father rebuked him, and said unto him, What is this dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. Detours are distractions from the original intended route that we have planned to take. When we get in our cars, we usually have a destination in mind. Typically, we know how we plan to get there, to include the roads and highways we intend to take along the way, but on many occasions, we run into detours, things that take us off the pre-planned route that we had determined to use to get where we had hoped to go. Detours are typically unexpected and inconvenient. Perhaps a police officer redirects traffic down a different road, or a fellow driver flags us down to help with their broken vehicle. They take us off our intended route, and as such, it takes us longer than we had planned to get to our final destination. A straight line is simple, and an uninterrupted journey is preferable to a whole lot of stopping and starting. As believers in Jesus Christ, we have a destiny. From eternal perspective, we know what our destiny is, to be in God's presence forever, worshiping Him and working for Him in that eternal state. But our focus here is on our present destiny, the one He has for us in this life. And to put another way, we know where we are going in the life to come, but where are we going in the life we have today? God has a plan for your life and purpose for your existence. The reason you weren't taken to heaven the moment after you became a Christian is because of that purpose on earth He desires you to fulfill. It's not just to get a job, collect a paycheck, pay the bills, or to have fun on the weekend. There is a God-designed stamp on your life, but He rarely ever takes us to that destiny apart from detours. He seldom takes us from point A to point B without causing us to make stops at P, X, Q, along the way. God frequently takes us on detours from the path toward our own destiny for the purpose of maturing and equipping us. And the first point I want to make is that God uses detours as part of his design for our lives. Joseph is not the only example in the Bible that God used detours to help someone grow. Moses is on a detour in the wilderness for 40 years. Numbers 32:13. And the Lord's anger was kindled against Israel, and he made them wander in the wilderness 40 years, until all the generation that had done evil in the sight of the Lord was consumed. Abraham is on a detour for 25 years while he waits for God to give him an heir. He said in Genesis 12, "Now the Lord said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, unto a land that I will show thee. And I will make of thee a great nation, and I will bless thee, and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless thee, and curse him that curseth thee. And in thee shall all families of the earth be blessed." So Abraham departed as the Lord had spoken unto him, and Lot went with him. And Abram was 75 years old when he departed out of Haran. The Apostle Paul goes on a 3-year detour in the Arabian desert in Damascus, waiting for his ministry to resume. He said in Galatians chapter 1, "But when it pleased God, who separated me from my mother's womb and called me by his grace, to reveal his Son in me, that I might preach him among the heathen, immediately I conferred not with flesh and blood, neither went I up to Jerusalem to them which were apostles before me, but I went into Arabia, and returned again unto Damascus. Then, after 3 years, I went up to Jerusalem to see Peter, and abode with him 15 days. Joseph would spend 15 years on a detour, enduring slavery and prison before entering Pharaoh's service. It says later in Genesis, "And Joseph dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. And these are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah, and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives. And Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. And Joseph was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh, king of Egypt. And Joseph went out from the presence of Pharaoh, and went throughout all the land of Egypt." And later, Joseph does not blame his brothers for what they did to him, because he sees God's design in the detours. In Genesis 50, "And Joseph said unto them, Fear not, for am I in the place of God? But as for you, ye thought evil against me, but God meant it unto good, to bring to pass, as it is this day, to save much people alive. Now therefore, fear ye not, I will nourish you and your little ones." And he comforted them and spake kindly unto them. Just like these biblical figures, God takes us on detours to develop us for his purpose. And then my second point is, God uses detours to prepare us for our future. Often, we are simply not ready to handle our destiny because we lack maturity. God reveals to Joseph details of his destiny, but he is not mature enough to handle them. God gives Joseph 2 dreams about his future, telling him that he would rule over his brothers, father and mother, when he was only 17 years old. And then he unwisely tells his brothers and his parents about his dreams. and which causes Joseph's journey into slavery, which allowed him to become acquainted with the Egyptian culture, the government, and language. God allows Joseph to be falsely accused and imprisoned in order to develop his character and fasten him into a better leader. Even though God reveals Joseph's destiny, he also takes him on many detours in order to mature him for his coming reign over Egypt. Although each of our journeys looks different, God takes us on detours to prepare us for the things he has in store for us in the future. The third point I want to make is that God uses detours in our life to prepare others. God shows us an example in the scriptures where he used a detour in the life of Philip to work in another person's life, which was the eunuch. This detour was to help the eunuch understand the word of God and to be saved. In Acts chapter 8, verses 26 to 31, "And the angel of the Lord spake unto Philip, saying, Arise, and go toward the south unto the way that goeth down from Jerusalem unto Gaza, which is desert. And he arose and went, and behold, a man of Ethiopia, a eunuch of great authority, under Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, who had the charge of all her treasure, and had come to Jerusalem for to worship, was returning and sitting in his chariot, read Esaias the prophet, and the Spirit said unto Philip, Go near, and join thyself to this chariot. And Philip went thither to him, and heard him read the prophet Esaias, and said, Understandest thou what thou readest? And he said, How can I, except some man should guide me? And he desired Philip that he would come up and sit with him. And the fourth point I want to make is that as we experience detours, sometimes things will get worse before they get better. Joseph's brothers began to hate him all the more for telling them about his dream. They resent him for trying to make himself look better than everyone else. They did not understand his dream because they also had not been prepared for their part in Joseph's destiny. Joseph was stripped of his multi-covered tunic, an item of great personal value, and Joseph's brothers picked him up and threw him into an empty pit with no water. Later on, God would use him to take him out of that area, but then another trial would appear, and Joseph would be falsely accused of laying with his master's wife and spent over 2 years in prison before being used of God to interpret the Pharaoh's dream. Even though most detours are difficult and seem as though life is getting worse, they are really part of God's design to prepare us for our future. And to give an illustration, think about the transformation of a caterpillar to a butterfly. A caterpillar is ugly, slow, slimy, and it takes all day to go 2 feet. But when it undergoes the process of metamorphosis and the caterpillar becomes a butterfly, something beautiful is born. Metamorphosis is the process of something at work on the inside, trying to show up on the outside. There's only one reason a butterfly can fly. Its wings are strengthened by the work it does to break through the cocoon. If a bystander were to split open a cocoon prior to the butterfly breaking itself loose from the cocoon, it wouldn't fly. Its wings are developed through the struggle. No struggle means no flight. Every Christian is a butterfly waiting to happen. A Christian may feel like a caterpillar or even think they look like a caterpillar, but the idea is to work out their salvation in the midst of adversity because God is at work within them to do his good pleasure. The road to our destiny is often ugly. It might seem like it's going nowhere, but God is transforming us into something beautiful, designed for a great work. And as in closing, as Miss Martha comes to the piano, I just want to say the altar's open tonight for us to pray, not just for ourselves, but for other people we know, whether they be saved